We are officially halfway through Regulation F, and today I have 5 new rental codes to share with you guys. So the first team we're going to be looking at here is a Kommo-o balanced team. Now, if anyone has been around the ladder, you have probably seen, a variant of this team running around. It is a very, very scary 6 to deal with. It's a team I've played at my locals. I played it on ladder, especially on high ladder. This team is very, very difficult to play into, and it's honestly just very, very solid. To start things off here, we have the obvious, very, very good, very solid defensive backbone. That is Amoonguss Incineroar. If you guys haven't played these two mons together, go play it. Terra Water Amoonguss plus Terra Ghost Incineroar. They form just one of the most ridiculous defensive backbones honestly any team could ever have. It's absolutely insane. The pivoting you get between, obviously Parting Shot, pairing up obviously as well with like Amoonguss having Regenerator. You can get yourself into some really, really insane spots. Not to mention, Fake Out plus Spore is obviously very, very good. Knockoff plus Spore is also fantastic for opposing Incineroars. You outspeed, knock off their safety goggles, then you put them to sleep. And then of course Incineroar just having Parting Shot Intimidate. It's kind of nutty, let's be honest. Golden Go here though is the choice spec set. This is like choice specs with like Terra Fairy. Obviously Terra Fairy is very, very good into things like of course, Dark Urshifu. But you got your just two main stabs there. Then you got Trick and then Nasty Plot. Trick is just fantastic as well for catching opposing Amoongus's off guard as well. Because obviously you're a mon that's already naturally immune to Amoonguss spores. So if you can ever get it with the choice specs, all of a sudden they can't be annoying with, Rage Powder spam, Spore spam, Pollen Puff. They can't change their moves up, which is obviously very, very good. And not to mention, even if you don't click Trick, just going for, choice specs, Make It Rain, is always a very, very good thing, right? Then we have Big Bad Tinglu here. Right? Tinglu is the one that is definitely on the rise. There are mods like Fluttermane, of course. The Blood Moon Ursalunas that are running around that are kind of dominating the metagame. And one of the best mons into them, obviously, is Big Tinglu here with the Assault Vest. This mon is, let's be honest, it's pretty insane what this guy can do, yeah, right? Obviously, here we have Terra Fairy. Terra Poison, obviously, is also another very, very, very good choice. Stomping Tantrum and Throat Chop are both just fantastic stab options, really, on this mon. If you can ever catch an Incineroar with a Throat Chop, they can't Parting Shot out. If you ever get faked out by an Incineroar, of course, then you obviously have a double power Stomping Tantrum, which is fantastic. Terra Fairy, Terra Blast is just very, very good into the Urshifus, and Heavy Slam having the ability to one-shot Fluttermane is obviously just always going to be a great thing, right? Then we have P2. Now, P2 is super interesting, right? Because this kind of gives the team another mode, I like to say, right? And that is kind of like the Trick Room mode here. And honestly, Porygon 2 is super slept on in the sense that this mon can really be your team's main offensive threat, thanks to its ability to download, right? So I don't know if you guys understand how download works, or sorry, not download, I should say here, Terra Blast works, but the way Terra Blast works is it always goes based off your highest stat. So say, for example, if you get a special attack boost, then obviously Terra Blast will be, a special attack, right? But if you get a physical attack boost, especially on our set here, because we are 31 IVs, and we are Sassy Nature as well, so all of a sudden we might get, a boost to our attack stat, and then all of a sudden our Terra Blast is actually physical rather than special. And, if you got against, for example, a Terra Fairy Fluttermane, all of a sudden your Terra Poison Terra Blast can just straight up one-shot Fluttermanes, which is obviously fantastic and very, very good. But yeah, on top of that, P2 is just P2, right? It's this super annoying, bulky Trick Room setter. If you don't knock it off, this one kind of just sits there. It gets up at Trick Room, it spams Recover. It pairs really, really well with Incin and Amoonguss. It has, the Ice Beam plus Terra Blast coverage, which is obviously fantastic. And honestly, it's just super duper annoying. And yeah, those kind of 5 mons there really just pair incredibly well with the star of the show, which is Kommo-o on this team. If you guys haven't played against Kommo-o, or don't understand how it works, essentially this mon, it kind of just clicks its iron defenses and then sweeps through with body press. A +2 iron defense should almost always take out any Urshifu unless they're like stupidly bulky. You've got the Terra Steel Iron Head to really help out with things like Fluttermane. Not to mention Terra Steel in general is just a fantastic, typing on this mon, right? Or a fantastic Terra, I should say. But yeah, Kommo-o is just, it is supported super duper well by this team, right? You've got the Incin lowering their attack. You got the Tinglu lowering the, the special attackers. You got the Amoonguss healing it up with the side Pollen Puffs. You got the Golden Go breaking holes through those fairies. Because that's another like really cool thing with this team, right? Is Kommo-o, the only type he really doesn't want to see are fairies. Whereas Golden Go's like, hey, I don't care. I'll make it rain. And yeah, this is just a really sick team. I really enjoy this team. I think it's really good. I think it's super good into the metagame as well. So yeah, definitely check out this team if you guys get the chance. So the second team we're going to be looking at here is it's kind of a Gouging Fire Howl team, but also a Tinglu Dondozo stall team. So I'll kind of break down that mode first, because I do think the other 4 mods are kind of pretty self-explanatory. But to start off with here, we have the Dondozo plus Tinglu. Now this is a combo that has basically been around a little bit since, our Regulation C, where we've seen it come up basically. Dondozo is this super bulky mod on the physical end. Tinglu, drops Pokemon's special defense stat down. Dondozo kind of sits there and just spams out yawns, and then Tinglu gets up the, the stealth rocks, kind of forcing him to switch out, and it becomes just this super, super annoying game to play, right, where if you stay in an attack, all of a sudden you're going to get put to sleep. And if you just keep cycling out, mods like Incineroar really don't want to cycle into too many stealth rocks, taking 25% chip the whole time. So it becomes super, super annoying, right? So the Dondozo, it likes to sit there, it clicks its yawns, but it also does have access to, obviously, Terra Steel Heavy Slam here and Wave Crash, both of which are very, very strong in the current metagame. And then, of course, Tinglu here has, the Stealth Rock, it has the Ruination and the Protect. Ruination is fantastic for just chipping down other really bulky mons. As we said, Stealth Rock is fantastic for forcing the pivots. And then we have Stomping Tantrum as the final move here. Now, Stomping Tantrum is really interesting because I definitely think you could probably run Sand Tomb as well, I believe it is, because then you can Sand Tomb Yawn and just trap something in. I do think that's definitely very, very good. The only issue I have with that is this combo can kind of lack damage, so I don't love, trapping mons on the board. It's like, hey, if you want to fall asleep, great. But, if you kind of want to pivot around a lot too, I think that's also fine, right? And then the other 4 mons on this team, this is just a really, really standard Howl plus, like, Qian Pao combo, really. Obviously, we've got the Qian Pao here paired up with the Choice Band D-Knight. I really feel like that needs no explanation. Everyone kind of knows what that does. It's done the same thing, really, since Regulation C. But then, of course, we have the Speed Booster Gouging Fire here with Howl, basically buffing up our other 5 physical attackers, right? Gouging Fire also pairs incredibly well with Tinglu, because even though our Tinglu is incredibly defensive on this set, if you get a Howl up on this mon, all of a sudden those Stomping Tantrums really do start dealing a lot of damage. And not to mention, again, Ruination into, like, Gouging Fires, Breaking Swipes can be super, super annoying. And then, of course, finally, we just have Rillaboom, guys. I really do feel like that core 4 is just really, really standard, right? Rillaboom's another one where if you get a Howl up on it, all of a sudden its Woodhammers just start doing stupid damage. And yeah, I think the core works really, really well. And that Dozo Tinglu just... it gives this team another mode that I think is really, really hard to deal with, and it can really force out a lot of chip to really set up things like the Power, the D-Knight, the Gouging Fire, to really sweep through in the end game. So the next thing we're going to be looking at here is a team built around Articuno Snow. Now, this is a team that was taken from the special event that is going on over this weekend. I saw it, I thought it was fantastic, I had to test it out, and I'm not going to lie, it was super, super fun. I think Snow, I've been saying it for a little bit now, I think Snow's really good, right? In a metagame where everything is so physical, having, really bulky physical defensive mons is fantastic. And honestly, Intimidate obviously is great. But the other thing that is fantastic, obviously, is Ice types in Snow, yeah? And because of that, I think Ninetales plus Articuno here is just really, really good. Not to mention, Snow Cloak is obviously very, very good as well here. But this team is really interesting because we actually have Choice Specs Articuno instead. So all of a sudden, those Blizzards, those Ice Beams, those Freeze Strides start dealing a ridiculous amount of damage. And honestly, I think it's just really, really solid, yeah? Of course, you pair that up with the Alolan Ninetales here, who has Blizzard, it has Moonblast, just 2 incredibly good moves in the current metagame. I feel like Blizzard, Moonblast has hit almost anything that isn't like a Steel or a Fire type. Of course, we have the Aurora Veil here as well, and Helping Hand, which is just fantastic, paired up with, a lot of very, very good, attackers on the team, because really the other 5 mons all hit pretty damn hard. You talk about Aurora Veil, you have a Raging Bolt here, and I don't know if you guys have played Raging Bolt behind screens. This mon behind screens is honestly stupid. It is so freaking thick, it is insane. Like, this one, it should not eat the hits it eats behind screens. And then you pair that up again with something like, the Hisuian Arcanine here. It's honestly insane, right? And, talking about, like, Arcanine here and also Landorus, we were saying, hey, Articuno, Ninetales, they kind of, they struggle to deal damage to the Steel types. They struggle to deal damage to the Fire types. How do you fix that? You just have Landorus and Banded Hisuian Arcanine. These mons absolutely shit out damage. It's absolutely absurd. Like, these mons do way too much damage, yeah? Like, Banded Hisuian Arcanine's Rock Slides, its Head Smashes, its Flare Blitzes are insane. The E-Speeds can clean up late game. Obviously, you got the Life Orb Sheer Force Landorus Incarnate here. The old, honestly, the ground poison coverage is so stupid on this team. It's kind of insane. Like, sorry, on this mon in general, I should say. And then, of course, here we have the Ogre Pawn Wellspring. Like, honestly, this team, offensively, it doesn't have any speed control outside of Electro Webs, which for me is kind of like iffy. I am someone who does either like to have Trick Room or Tailwind. But of course, when you look at a team like this, you've got things like that. You got the Light Clay there, obviously, to make sure the Aurora Veil stays up. You got the Hisuian Arcanine who can pump out damage. The Articuno, honestly, is so stupid when they can't hit this one. I'm sure we've all been there before where the Articuno just sits there and it just clicks like, 3 Blizzards in a row. It's freezing you can't hit it. It's stupid. But yeah, honestly, this is like a really, really fun team. I definitely think you guys should test this one out. Now, you guys know this would not be a Scooteasy video without a Chu Sun team. So, of course, here we are back with my updated version of my Melbourne regional team. And, of course, as you can see, I did drop the Raging Bolt here for Glamora. Now, look, I'm not going to lie, I was hesitant. I think Glamora is really good, but it can miss its Meteor Beams. But honestly, after doing a bunch of calcs, I realized how just how good Glimmora and Chi-Yu are, especially when you run a slower, bulkier Chi-Yu, and allow the Glimmora to outspeed it. So that is essentially what we've done here. This is a timid max speed Glimmora paired with a modest Chi-Yu that is, I believe, yeah, I think it goes to 150, so it's 1 point faster. Sorry, 1 point slower than a Glimmora here. But these two, honestly, are just so good into things like Trick Room, right? Because all of a sudden, you just, go for this, Meteor Beam right next to a Chi-Yu. You just, like, a one-shot their redirection mon, and then their Trick Room mon all of a sudden just eats a, an Overheat or a Dark Pulse, whatever it might be. And it honestly just does a stupid amount of damage. And of course, you pair it up with just the, the usual suspects here. One of the best cores in the game, that is the Torn, Urshi, Ogerpon, and Fluttermane. So, of course, bulky Tornadus here. It's got Sunny Day, it's got Bleak Windstorm, it's got the Rocky Helmet. Says the Tailwind for the boys. Honestly, I can't praise this mon enough. I was really hoping Whimsicott could contest with this mon. It can't. Tornadus is just that guy. He is just, it's the best speed control mon in the format. Like, let's be honest, Bleak Windstorm is broken, and Tailwind is just really freaking good. Then we have the Dark Urshi. I feel like I don't have to say much about this mon. There's a reason this guy has become, one of the most used ones in the format. It is just so damn good. Everything's like running Terra Fairy to deal with it. It doesn't matter. This mon still just shits out damage. Terra Dark Wicked Blow is insane. The Sucker Punches, the close combat's still a lot of damage. We've got the Focus Sash, so you can't one-shot me. Yeah, honestly, like, I can't praise Urshi Dark enough. This mon is actually insane, yeah. Then we have the Ogerpon Water, of course, one of the best supports in the format. This Ogerpon is tech to live a choice banded Terra Normal E-Speed with sort of Ruin from a D-Knight. Essentially just allowing your Fluttermane to get off, 2 Dazzling Gleams to kind of just run through the opponent. And yeah, of course, Fluttermane, last one on the team. It's the Speed Booster set. This is a slower, bulkier Fluttermane. The main reason I went for the slower, bulkier Fluttermane really is because I just feel like I never needed Timid Max Speed. I ran Timid Max Speed for Melbourne. I'm like, okay, I never want to lose a speed tie to another Fluttermane. And then I kind of just realized, like, I shouldn't be using my own Fluttermane to beat other Fluttermanes when I'm not running Shadow Bolt. And of course, like, if they're like choice specs, then yeah, I can use it. But if they're like a speed booster set, I just gotta play different, yeah? Like, I'll be like, hey, I know you're gonna outspeed me. I'm just gonna make sure, like, I can live hits and then just pump out damage. But yeah, look, I love this team. Chi-Yu Fluttermane is like my favorite core in the game, or my favorite combo in the game. And I think the rest of the team really just, like, it really just makes the team a lot better. And guys, the last team we're gonna be looking at here is the team I just used in my first round for the NPAA. This is a team that was inspired by a team that Sempra used, that I believe he got from a Japanese player, or, Japanese players were using the team. I kind of modified it, adjusted it to be, my own playstyle. And this team really kind of centers around, once again, that really good defensive backbone of Amoonguss plus Incineroar, but of course, the Choice Scarf Urshifu Rapid Strike paired up with Xian Pao. Look, it is one of the best combos of the game. Everyone is kind of just worried about Urshi Dark now instead of Urshi Rapid. Of course, Ogerpon Wellspring's a really, really good mon. But, that's, nothing a Choice Scarf U-turn can't deal with, right? Of course, you got things like Amoonguss here to redirect things like Raging Bolt as well. Speaking of Raging Bolt, you've got the Assault Vest Raging Bolt. Very, very bulky. Like, once again, pairs incredibly well with the Instant plus Amoonguss. It's great speed control, great damage control. It can deal a lot of damage with things like Drake and Meteor. And of course, it's just fantastic cleaning up endgames with Thunderclap. And then we have Choice Specs Fluttermane, one of the best mons of the format here. Obviously, Terra Fairy, Moonblast, and Dazzling Gleam. We all know what it does. It rips through teams. It's incredibly, incredibly potent. Shadow Ball obviously is very good into opposing Fluttermanes. And then, of course, Perish Song Map. Please thanks, Scott. Choice Specs with the Perish Song. What are you doing? Look, this is really good into the late game Kommo-os. If anyone's ever dealt with the Kommo-o teams, you look at my team here, right? They run Overcoat. They don't care about my Intimidates. They get up enough defense boost, so they don't care about the power of the Urshi. And then they eventually just say, like, hey, I'm Terra Steel. You can't kill me. And then you just get Perish Song, and then you're just like, hey, I'm just going to cycle back into my Instant, fake you out, get my Amoonguss in, redirect you, and you're not going to have a good time. Honestly, just a really, really good, really potent team here. It has a lot of great synergy. A lot of, really good defensive pieces as well. Like, AV Bolt, really good. Snarl is fantastic to help out things like the Power and the Urshi in the late game. Fluttermane and Urshi can just, like, run through teams as well. Like, if your opponent doesn't have ways to deal with, like, a Fluttermane plus Amoonguss even on lead, or a Fluttermane plus Instant, like, you can deal so much damage before they can react. It's honestly fantastic. Definitely my favorite team to play right now, so I would definitely recommend trying it out. But guys, that is it for my F5 teams. Let me know what you think down below of these teams. And yeah, let me know what I guess you want to see me build around in the future. Obviously, I do kind of want to get one more of these out, maybe around the, start of April. But yeah, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.